A few months ago, Disney released the latest trailer for its live-action Snow White, and within days, something truly shocking happened. A massive wave of backlash and hate flooded in from all sides. Over 1.2 million dislikes, plus tens of thousands of negative comments. But the story doesn't end there. Media outlets from every angle ripped into this project with the sharpest criticism possible. The live-action Snow White trailer didn't just become the most hated trailer in history, it sparked one of the biggest crises for Disney and one of the most dramatic moments in Hollywood history. And you know what? They were right.
It would have been almost impossible for this movie to succeed because you're comparing it to one of the most beloved films of all time and a truly groundbreaking movie.
Disney has botched this Snow White movie every way it's possible to botch the Snow White movie. So you'll remember that that film had a trailer so awful that Disney had to completely recut the movie.
All right, guys, I watched Snow White, so you don't have to. Let's get into it. Now, first things first, Snow White gets her name not from the fairness of her skin, as we obviously know. Rachel Zegler would be a miscast in that sense.
She just sounds bitter and angry.
I don't think they're gonna buy it. I don't think they're gonna watch it. I don't think they're gonna like it.
Every time she speaks, she gets less likable.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
Rachel Zegler, she's an asshole.
You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up.
Spend 1 minute on Snow White and how it totally imploded at the box office this weekend.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any.
If Disney wants to make more woke films that tank at the box office, they are more than welcome to do that, but maybe think of an original idea.
A few lessons for Disney. Number one, stop cannibalizing all your old IP. Like, it's really bad. Number two, please stop changing all of the historic plots, which actually have meaning to generations of people, to instead become generic woke story.
So how did we get here? To understand the mess Disney created, we need to rewind to December 21st, 1937, the day the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs premiered. This wasn't just a movie release, it was a revolution. Packed theaters, Hollywood's biggest stars in attendance, and an audience left speechless. Walt Disney didn't just make an animated film, he changed cinema forever. Fast forward a few decades, and Disney, hungry for nostalgia-fueled cash grabs, started churning out live-action remakes of their classics. Some were hits, others were disasters, but nothing compares to the Snow White catastrophe. The first red flag, leaked set photos. 2 years ago, images surfaced showing that the iconic Seven Dwarfs had been replaced by a random group of magical creatures of different genders and ethnicities. Fans were furious. This wasn't Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it was Snow White and the seven politically correct misfits. Even dwarf actors who rarely get major Hollywood roles were livid, calling Disney out for robbing them of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The backlash was so intense that Disney scrapped the entire project and started over.
Game of Thrones actor Peter Dinklage went on a podcast the other day and declared that it was, quote, offensive and backward that Disney was planning to hire real-life dwarves, little people, for a remake of the film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Listen.
I was a little taken back by they're very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White.
Yeah.
But you're still telling the story of Snow White,
yeah.
And Seven Dwarfs.
Sure.
So, look, take a step back and look at what you're doing there.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me.
But,
you're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of seven dwarves living in a cave. The are you doing, man?
And yet somehow they made it worse. When the new trailer finally dropped, people expected Disney to correct their mistakes. Instead, they found out that the Seven Dwarfs had now been entirely replaced with embarrassingly bad CGI creations. But if you think that was the biggest problem, oh, you have no idea. Enter Rachel Zegler, the actress cast as Snow White. Entitled Out of Touch and dripping with woke arrogance, she turned a beloved fairy tale into a personal crusade.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. She acts like her life is so bad, considering she's a multi-millionaire actress living out every struggling actress's or actor's dream, and she just, hand waves it like she's still some sort of victim, when in reality, she should be happy. She should be, apolitical, positive, but she's not that way. She was, as woke as they are, and, the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
That it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White. She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign. I am.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
Not only did Disney cast a Latina actress to play a character literally named Snow White, but Zegler made it painfully clear in every interview she hated the original story.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again.
Put an actress in there that not only hates the plot and the storyline of the movie she's in, but also seemingly hates Snow White, the character herself. That's one interview clip that you read the quote from, but she's gone on to talk about this film numerous times, how she once thought Snow White was creepy, she doesn't like the prince, she thinks she should get paid more because she has to wear that dress. I mean, talk about biting the hand that feeds you. So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat, and that's why people are so annoyed beyond.
She called it outdated, creepy, and even slammed the prince's love story as vulgar and misogynistic.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different. What did you mean by that?
I mean, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Imagine getting paid millions to play one of Disney's most iconic princesses, only to publicly trash everything she stands for. Fans were furious, accusing her of spitting on the legacy of a film that shaped generations. Disney scrambled to do damage control, but Zegler, she doubled down, mocking the original film, ridiculing her male co-star, and digging herself into an even deeper hole. Meanwhile, her co-star Gal Gadot, who played the evil queen, took the exact opposite approach, fully embracing her role with pride.
You see yourself as the evil queen. You are not evil. You're a queen, but you're not evil. What was it like seeing yourself as the evil queen for the first time?
I still haven't seen anything. Just like she said, we got to work with such an amazing crew, and it was just like the best it could ever be. I feel so lucky that I got to play something that is so far from what I know, and I super enjoyed every second of it.
And that's when things took a hilariously ironic turn. Social media exploded with fans pointing out that Gal Gadot, universally considered one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood, was playing the villain, while Zegler, who was supposed to be the fairest of them all, was, well, not. Thousands of memes flooded the internet, mocking the idea that any magic mirror would ever choose Zegler over Gadot, and then came the final straw. In the middle of this PR nightmare, Zegler randomly tweeted her support for Palestine. Now, while that's a separate political discussion, many saw it as an obvious attempt to distract from the disaster unfolding around her, especially considering Gal Gadot's Israeli background. Was it genuine activism, or just a desperate move by a floundering actress? You decide. But let's get back to the film itself. In this version, Snow White isn't kind and graceful. She's bossy and dismissive towards the dwarfs. The CGI is horrendous, the casting choices are baffling, and the entire production screams corporate virtue signaling gone wrong. Disney somehow managed to alienate both progressive and traditional audiences in one fell swoop. The result? What was supposed to be a billion-dollar blockbuster is now shaping up to be one of the biggest box office bombs in history. Disney wanted to modernize Snow White. Instead, they got a disaster of epic proportions. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because trust me, Hollywood's next meltdown is just around the corner.